Today's 916 day that I'm here to lessons I learn. I'm learning. I hope this will support your dreams, your goals, allow you to become the person that you want to become. Today I'll speak about really idea that sometimes we hear the same message over and over and over again, and we do not understand until that last trip, last message, last idea that you're really able to hear the same message again. But you finally have that epiphany moment, that aha moment, and you're like, now I know what you meant. Now I know what you said. Now I know why you said it's so important. And there's a lot of times it happened for me as well, that people say, mentors say something to me, and it's very, very important. Said it's very, very important, but for some reason, I logically understand, but for some reason, I still do not understand the view, like really actual value of that message, of that idea. And I need some time to really to reflect on that idea until it gets in. Sometimes other person says exactly the same idea, and you finally it finally clicks. And today we'll share like 10 things that really, why is that? Why is that a lot of times we need to multiple times to hear the same idea until finally we understand? Now I find that a lot of times people say that, oh, I don't like reading books because they tell exactly the same thing. But I can tell you that if books tell you exactly the same thing, it might be that you just do not grow. Because a lot of times when you really take the book and you read it, and then you read after the same book after 5 years, when you read it, you get totally different messages. Not exact messages, but totally different messages because you grew, your understanding improved. So a lot of times reading second time the same book it's a very valuable thing because it will take different things from the same amazing book. So number one thing that when you think about really why you finally understand after hearing the same message after 20 times, what is the reason? Because repetition aids understanding. Because a lot of times it really, we need to hear the same message, like a very strong message, multiple times until it sinks into deep subconscious, unconscious, that we're able finally to use that, understand that in a deeper level. Because it really like those punching, like a lot of times I love the analogy that if you hitting the tree exactly same location 1,000 times, at some point the question is not if the tree will fall, its question is when. Because sometimes it's exactly the same with like some kind of idea. You need to multiply, kick that, and really repeat that idea multiple times until it sinks in and you fully understand how to execute on that. So when you really hear the message or idea for the first time, not supposed to really judge yourself that maybe you do not understand fully yet, and really look for ways how to get the same message repeated by other speaker, by the same speaker, to make sure that it finally lands. Number two is different perspectives. So that means a lot of times when you have like an idea, like an apple, we want to really look into 360 degrees up around that idea to make sure that we really able to grasp the full idea of it. So that means that we're able to really look into different sources. So that is very, very important. Sometimes that maybe you're not able to send from this speaker. Maybe that speaker doesn't connect with you. Maybe you're able to read a book. Maybe you're able to look into other speaker. Maybe able to watch a YouTube lesson. Like what you're able to do to really expand and look from different perspectives, the same idea that you could really finally say that now I got it. Now I'm able to understand because I was able to look from multiple angles to understand how to really become closer to that solution, to figure out that idea. Number three is readiness to learn. This is very, very powerful. So that means a lot of times you are listening, amazing idea, but just you're not ready. You're not ready to hear that. That means that maybe you need to really execute before you are ready. Maybe you need to grow yourself, improve yourself before you are ready to grasp that idea. Because a lot of times, if you have a mentor, that mentor could share so many great ideas. But if he's not careful, it might be that he's sharing ideas that you are not ready to grasp. I experienced that. Like my mentor shared ideas, and then after a while, after 6 months, like now I finally understand what he meant 6 months ago. So readiness to understand is very, very important. When someone shares an idea, a great idea, don't neglect that idea. Think, okay, I will reflect on that idea as well. If you say that it's important, I will set aside and will put some time to reflect on it, that maybe I'm not ready to really understand this message yet. So that means sometimes you need just certain experiences to be ready for it. Number four is personal growth. So that means that when we really grow ourselves, improve ourselves, and really focus on personal development, we start to appreciate certain lessons. And of course, a lot of times some messages seems very, very relevant and confusing, but when we really grow ourselves, that's really a lot of ideas, a lot of thoughts. It puts a lot of light on those lessons, on those ideas. And because growth is really making sure that you are able to really light up your room in your life, in your mind, and everything seems much more clear. And because of that, you're able to see the same message with more clarity because you grew, you improved. Because sometimes, a lot of times, a person who is on top of the mountain, he's able to see so much more. And he said that, okay, there is a river there, there is a mountain there, there is something, but you, because you're lower, you're not able to see that yet. But if you go, grow yourself, improve yourself, and you climb higher, at some point you start to see what other person is able to see. So, oh yeah, I see that river. Oh yeah, I see that mountain. Oh yeah, I see this growth. So that means that in personal development, it's very, very important to be able to grow and start to see things that we never saw before. And that's why, of course, we're able to understand and have that aha moment when other people share. Number 5 is relevance. This is very important. That means that a lot of times people share amazing ideas, but that idea is maybe not relevant for you. And you never, you don't see how you potentially could use this idea in your life. And because of that, you will never be able to understand it fully. But now finally, it's okay, I understand how you're able to use that, and you're able to include relevancy in that idea. Of course, now I say, oh, that's why. That's why now I understand, because now it's finally relevant for me specifically. So that means that if we really sometimes we don't understand some idea, we can ask, is this message is relevant for me or not? And if not, it might be that's because you're not understanding, because it's not relevant for you yet, because it might be that it will be relevant in the future. Because I think that is one of the biggest things, is that a lot of times personal development has one issue, that people grow, improve, read, but they don't understand the message yet because that message is not relevant for them yet. So intentional growth is much, much more important, because when you're intentional, you're looking for specific answers and you find them, and you grow much faster rather than really reading a book, and sometimes all those lessons are not relevant for you specifically. It doesn't land. Number 6 is emotional readiness. So that means that you can be ready by yourself to take in, and some days you just really you need to grow emotionally, because that's very, very important. That means that we need to accept emotionally, not just like with our minds, but we need to accept emotionally some ideas, because we will need to question ourselves, our identity, our egos, our values, about a lot of things when we think about when we're growing, and when we're looking through a lot of ideas. So emotional readiness is very, very important to understand that, okay, now I finally understand what he meant by saying that. Number 7 is experiences or maturity. That means that when we really go through life, when we have that maturity, when you have experiences, we have able to understand more and more complex ideas, more and more complex messages. Because when you're young, we understand like very simple ideas. That's very, very important, simple ideas. But sometimes in life, not everything is so that simple. Some things are very complex, and we able to understand those complexes when we have experiences, when we have ability to really compare what we saw in the past, and really able to really understand that there is much more underneath than you thought at the beginning. Number 8 is application in real life. So it means that a lot of times when we read books, again, there's a lot of examples, and it could be a lesson. But if you've never seen that idea implemented in real life, sometimes we have a difficulty to understand. But now when you see, okay, this message, this lesson have been implemented here, and that's how it was implemented, now we say, oh, that's why. So that means that a lot of times we hear the same message 10, 20 times, but until you see how that was implemented in actual real life, you're not able to see how valuable the message is. And of course, sometimes when we see with our own experience, of course, that really helps. Number 9 is openness to learning. This is even more important than readiness to learn. Because you can be ready to learn with your capacity, with experiences, but you're not open to learn. So you are ready because you have capacity, but openness is a willingness. Because ready is capacity, openness is willingness to learn. Are you willing and are you open to hear? Because people say, "Oh, I'm willing to hear, but I'm not willing to accept. I'm open to hear, but I'm not willing to question my beliefs." So that most times it says that I'm not open. Often people say like, "Hey, I'm willing to question everything what you say, and I'm willing to really look into that. Is this actually the truth?" And when you're really open, really curious and motivated to learn, improve, then of course it's much easier to say, "Okay, finally understand what you said." And the last one, number 10, is confirmation biases. This is very interesting because a lot of times when we look into idea and someone said exactly the same idea 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, and we were never able to understand that idea because that was outside of confirmation biases. So it means that when you look into one idea and you're always trying to confirm that, all other ideas will bypass your ear because it doesn't belong in your confirmation biases. So now when you're able to really detach yourself, to move out of confirmation bias, and you'll open yourself to idea that there is a different way of looking at the same topic, you finally, oh, now I understand what you meant by saying that, because you let it go confirmation bias and really able to start looking not just one side, but both sides. And when you see both sides, of course, you're able to learn much more and become much more powerful, much more wiser, much more knowledgeable. Like confirmation bias is really one of the fastest way to really living one directional life. Because people who are very wise, they're able to understand that you need to understand both sides to make a right choice. Because if you just look into one side, that choice will not be the highest possible choice. So I think that's when we're going through life, you need to understand that we need to understand more and more and more, and we need supposed to have those epiphany moments because we're growing, improving, getting better. And when it means that when you think about real growth, I think that's when we really cover those. I think that the number one thing that we always need to understand that's openness to learning, willingness to learn, willingness to question things. I really say that, okay, I'm reading and I'm trying. I really want to learn, improve. And I'm willing to listen the same message 10 times because I know that it finally, and at some point, it will land. Because a lot of times we hear the same message because we never learn from that. Because people say that, I know that, but do you do that? I know that, but do you do that? And I think that a lot of times people say, I know that, but they never take action that. And because they never take action that, they never learn. And the message keep repeating to them. I said, oh, all books are the same. They say exactly the same thing because all books are the same and they tell this exactly the same thing because they show you that there's one thing that you're supposed to do, but you're not willing to do. Because every single time when I read, when I execute, next time I read, I learn totally new things. So I hope that you reflect as well. How often do you learn? How often do you have the aha epiphany moments? And really seek those moments because those are the moments when you really allows to transform your ideas, your wisdom, and transform potentially your life. So I hope you just win and see you tomorrow.